Hey guys, Baz here. I'm gonna be showing y'all today how to make a timer, at least two different ways of making a timer. Each way is very similar, they both use ticks and command blocks, but one is much more simple than the other, and I'm gonna be showing y'all both of them. Anyways, to start off, this is the tick timer. The tick timer is really simple. It only requires one command block, and as you can see on the side, I have the seconds already displayed. So to actually make this, you have to first create a scoreboard. So do /scoreboard, objectives, add, name it whatever you want, set it as a dummy, and name it whatever you want. That's how you create a scoreboard, and once you do create that scoreboard, you have to add a player to it. Add whatever, say like seconds, and whatever you name the scoreboard, and make sure to set it to 0. And once you do that, you can start to actually make this timer. So as you can see, the delay is 20 ticks, which equates to 1 second in Minecraft. So if you just set a repeat command block to 20 ticks of delay and set it to add 1 second to the timer, then well, you get a second timer. This one's really useful for both seconds and minutes and hours. If you really want to be really specific on when something happens throughout ticks, you can use that timer. But this one, it just works really well anyway, and it's just much more simple and less time consuming to actually make. So I recommend this one a lot. Anyways, time for the Milsec timer. Also, to reset a timer, you just go to just make the scoreboard command and you set it to 0. That's it. And I believe I already showed this, but to set display, you must do /scoreboard objectives, set display on the sidebar to like put it over here. There's two different types. There's list, which is actually in the pause menu, and there's above name, which won't matter for timers. But anyway, and then you put the name of the actual objective, and that's how you set a display. And as you can see, I did the same thing for over here for the mill timer. And then I click, and now you can see it's on the side. Let's go with the mill timer. The mill timer is a little bit more complicated, just because it's, instead of waiting and adding, it makes one tick a millisecond, which it isn't a millisecond, but it just does it. So as you can see on the side, it adds milliseconds really fast, and then after it reaches like 20, which is a second in ticks, it adds a second. It looks weird because the seconds and milliseconds are jumping around, but yeah, that's all it does. It's very similar to that one, except this one shows you the milliseconds. Let's reset it. So to actually make this one, once again, you must make a scoreboard that has whatever name you want, put it. And then you just have a repeater with 0 ticks, and you put in the command. Again, you must add the players, /scoreboard players, add whatever you call the milliseconds, your timer's name, 1. And now every tick, it's gonna add 1 to the timer. And then right here, this is where it actually sees if it's a second yet. So /scoreboard players test, this checks if the whatever you put the name of it, if it's at 20 ticks. And if it's at 20 ticks, then that means a second has passed, just like over there. And if you go up here, it's conditional. So right here, it always tests it. Since it's unconditional, every time this occurs, it tests for it. And then after that, it becomes conditional, because you only want to actually run this command when it's actually at 20 seconds or 20 milliseconds. So the command after that, that's conditional, it adds a second. So as you can see, /scoreboard players add seconds mill timer 1. So it adds the second, and then the command after that resets it. So slash go over player set millisecond to mil timer 0. And it's also conditional because you don't want it running all the time. If it wasn't conditional, then this timer wouldn't make sense. As you can see, nothing's happening, mainly because this is resetting it all the time. This timer, it's just good to be, for being even more specific. In reality, if you're only going to use seconds and don't really care about when exactly a tick happens, you could just use this timer. It works really well anyway, and it's just much more simple. Takes much less time to actually make. While this one, this is just for seconds and it's already 4 command blocks instead of 1. Anyways, I'm gonna actually show how to make a command, how to make these commands. So I'm gonna make it manually or remake it. So so I just removed the list on the sidebar. So now I'm gonna actually remake these commands. So I'm gonna make the objective first. So for objectives, add tick timer 2, dummy tick timer 2. I keep these the same, just because it's less confusing. So now that I have tick timer 2, I'm gonna add a player to it. Players add seconds to tick timer 2, and then I'll set it to 0, and let's set a display while we're at it. Alright, now it's on the side, and now let's just make the repeater. Let's grab the lever because we need that. You can always just set it to always active, but I'm using a lever so it doesn't just always go on. So now let's make it add a second. Alright, and now let's make it every 20 ticks. And done. We already have a working timer. And it's a really simple working timer. It's great. And now I'm gonna make the second timer, the Milsec timer. So let me just reset. Alright, now that I have none on the side, let's remake the millisecond timer. So again, we have to make the scoreboard. Alright, now we need to make the milliseconds and seconds. Alright, now that we have the seconds, let's set a display just so we can see it. Alright, now it's on the side. Now we actually do the commands. It takes about 4 just because you have to reset it and check for it and then set the seconds, so yeah, it's all over the place. Alright, now let's actually put in the commands. These two are conditional, this one's unconditional, and this one is just the repeater, so it starts it off anyway. So now, SAS scoreboard, players add milsec to mil timer 2, 1. You want it to add 1 millisecond. You want it to add 1 millisecond every tick. And now right here, unconditionally, with always active, you wanted to test for it 20 ticks. Alright, I generally just put 20, so that way if it messes up for some odd reason, goes above 20, it still works. It shouldn't mess up, but you know, your game can lag and then the text can stop moving for some reason. So, alright, always active. Now let's make, so after it tests for it and if it's successful, let's make it set the seconds. Well, add the seconds by 1. And now let's make it reset the milliseconds. To 0. Again, always active. And now, as you can see, we have a working millisecond timer. And I'm just going to let it go up. So yeah, these timers are really simple, and as you see, they're really easy to make. So I hope this helped. This, you can use this for a lot. This one itself, the test, is really useful. So say you're timing someone to 20 seconds parkour, which is a really old map. Well, this is how you do it through commands. And yeah, that's how my boss just does a lot of its phases, just through seconds, and you know, having a timer within it. But yeah, I hope this was helpful. As you can see, the last tutorial is back there. But anyway, next time I'll probably do how to test for a block and how to like make a given effect and stuff. So say if you stand on diamond, you get like jump boost. So I'll do that next time. But anyways, thanks for watching, and until then.